A very warm welcome to my friend wherever you may be in the world. I hope 2024 has started off well for you. A busy year for me. I'm just about to head off to the UK for a tour with Mesh. And on this very first podcast of 2024, I have three very special guests. Gentlemen, welcome to the first VG podcast of 2024. I have an all-star cast here today, and let's start off with my partner in crime, my dear friend, the legend, Mr. Brian Griffin.
Hi, folks.
Brian, how are you?
Pretty good, Vaughn. I miss you terribly.
I miss you.
Great fun together.
I miss you terribly too, my friend. And to those of you who aren't up to speed with what's happened, I've left the UK. Yes, I've abandoned my partner in crime, Brian. But we're still planning to take over the world, aren't we, Brian?
Oh, well, absolutely, and another one after that.
Brian, we'll get into a few things later, but how hard and how rewarding was that mode book?
That mode book was so hard. I don't even want to go into it or ever venture back in there again, really. It took us both to the limit, I think, Vaughn.
It did, and I think we were paying homage to the Black Celebration thing. When Depeche Mode produced Black Celebration, they decided to spend 3 months in a studio and just do it really claustrophobically. Brian and I decided, for whatever reason, we were going to do this all ourselves. We then got to a point where we thought maybe we should have got some staff in, but anyway, we stuck to our guns. Every book was handled by myself and signed by Brian, and we're very, very proud. We want to thank everyone who got involved, because this is it was a dream come true for me as a fan. And Brian, I think it's one of your most successful publications so far.
The number of books that I signed, the number of all over the world. I was signing books everywhere. It was a very successful book. We fulfilled our total commitment in terms of copies, which we were most proud of. There was still increased demand. People wanted it, and they were coming in from all directions, although we'd sold everything.
Everything's gone now, yes.
Well, Vaughn, you handled it impeccably well.
Oh,
you were the master of organization on that one, Vaughn.
I don't know about that, Brian, but we did the best we could. But it was an honor to work with you on that, and I'm so proud of it. Right, here's a familiar face here. He's on the bottom left of my screen, but that depends where, how you're looking at it on your screen there. Mr. Rob Rom from Orange County, California.
How's it going, everyone?
And Rob, you do have the voice, as I say, you've got that sort of late night talk show, Rob Rom After Dark. As some of the guys know, I met you and Kia in London last year. That was the first time we actually met in person, and I could confirm that you are a real person.
Yeah, that was a great time, actually. Great to see you both.
And Rob, you're coming back to the UK in January. You and I are going to go to see Depeche Mode on the 22nd of January at the O2 Arena. Is that correct?
Yes, and that will be my 60th all-time gig of Depeche Mode, not counting their television appearances or anything like that. But so I'm glad you'll be joining me for that. That'll be great.
Absolutely, and I just think you've done such great service towards the institution of Mode. I think they should have offered you a free ticket. I mean, this is like the 15th show of this leg you've gone to see, isn't that right?
This will be, the show on the 22nd will be my 14th show of this tour, and the 27th will be the 15th. So that'll probably be the last gig that I see on this tour, but it's been great. So many different memories and great moments, including Dave giving me the microphone to sing Walking in My Shoes in LA. That was great.
That's brilliant. Well, Dave Martin, if you're watching this, or Mr. Kessler, if you're watching this, Rob Rom deserves a free ticket, at least. Come on, it's the least you guys can do. So Rob, yeah, looking forward to that. And I must just make a shout out to my fellow bandmates, Mesh. We are doing, that's the reason I'm going back to the UK. We are in Glasgow on the 19th, Manchester on the 20th, and in London, the Garage, on the 21st. So it's your chance to come and see Mesh. I have been recruited as a full-time member now, so I'm very excited. And Rob, you're coming to that gig as well.
I'm excited to see that. Yeah.
Thank you. And we're this is just a really exciting time. So I'm very excited about it. One more thing, Rob, there is an event on the 26th in London, and I want to make a shout out to a friend of the channel, which is Ellen. Hello, Ellen. She sent an email and invited me to this event. Rob, I know you're going to that. I've just got so much happening, but after our event on the 24th, which I'm going to speak about in a moment, I'm going to be heading off to spend some time with my family. So I will not be coming to the event on the 26th. But Rob, you know a little bit more about that event. Can you just tell us a little bit?
It is at 229, that event. It's from 7:30 to 1 a.m. on the 26th. And Anthony Grain is DJing. And I believe there is going to be a special guest appearance by Steve-O from Some Bizarre. So the guy that actually created Some Bizarre Records.
Yes.
And the very first recording that Depeche Mode released with Photographic on the Some Bizarre album.
Brilliant.
The mastermind behind them.
What I'll do is I'll have a picture of the poster appearing on screen, and I will put links to the ticket sales for you guys. So Ellen, sorry I can't make it, but in spirit I'll be there.
I am bringing a former coworker that works in London as well, so I'm adding another guest for you. So we'll drink for you, Vaughn.
Well, I'm sure you will, Rob. Yeah, you keep flying the flag as we do yours. Bless you. Now, I want to come on to a new face. Obviously, not a new face. Depending if you're on Depeche Mode Global, you'll probably know this face. But he's certainly a new face to the VG community. And I met this very charismatic, larger than life gentleman when Rob came down to the UK. And your name, sir, is Kia. Could you give us your surname, because I don't want to butcher it?
Oh, no, it's Kia Benia.
There we go. Kia, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Vaughn, first of all, thank you for having me. I've been a fan of the community since it started. It helped us, as did Rob's channel, through COVID and all the lockdowns. And I've been a lifelong fan of Depeche Mode, since dating back to Black Celebration, 85, 86 timeframe. In terms of concerts, but obviously loved even Some Great Reward when it first came out, and have kept up with the band ever since. And my wife and I own a winery here in Napa, California. That's our second chapter. We're quite passionate about music and wine, and there's a deep Depeche Mode connection, which is in 2017, when I was at the Depeche Mode concert here in San Jose, I got a text from my wife. I'd gone with a best friend that there was a fire outside of our vineyard, and the fire, in fact, came down and burned down our neighbors. It was a horrible night. I had to leave a Depeche Mode concert, literally going from the best thing that happened, one of my most enjoyable things, to worrying if we have anything, if all of our belongings would be gone. And luckily for us, we were spared, and the vineyard actually put out the fire. And it created kind of a mission for us around sustainability and climate change in the wine industry. And there's a nod to Depeche Mode that runs through our brand, just because we are inspired and motivated by not only their music, but the beautiful, beautiful artwork and the visual imagery that Brian, so masterfully created. I cannot love Depeche Mode and not think about the beautiful album art and the beautiful images that are part of all of our soundtracks, and so that's kind of how the thought started. And met Rob, and we enjoyed a few shows together. We were in Berlin together seeing some of the shows, and went to the Hansa Studios. And then when I came to London, by chance, if you recall, we went to the pub. I brought a bottle of my wine to share, and Brian and I got a chance to chat. He looked at our bottle, which is kind of unique, and liked it. I'm going to show you guys. It's a hexagonal bottle, Art Deco in style. There's a reason, purpose behind this. This bottle is a patented design so that we increase the number of bottles that can be shipped in a container, and therefore lowering the carbon footprint of wine. That's 39% of every wine brand's carbon footprint has to do with the bottle. And we wanted to kind of innovate and bring something to the market that's different, that's beautiful, but also compact and ecological. Also, the bottle is made from 100% recycled glass. We're the first Napa manufacturer to go 100% recycled glass to protect what's inside, but do good for the environment. So that sparked off what we're going to talk about a little bit more, but that was the meeting.
Absolutely. No, there's a lot to unpack because, you did that really, really well in your introduction there. Thanks very much, Kia. And then we're going to talk about how that, how this gets onto Brian. But of course, if you share the feelings on Depeche Mode, then as we do, you're definitely in the right community here. So I just want to actually say to the guys watching, I'm no wine connoisseur or expert, but I tell you what, that wine is fucking delicious. It really was, because you did give us a bottle, didn't we? I think we had a bottle, and I think we all had a sip, and you gave me the rest of the bottle, which I took home.
Yeah,
really enjoyed.
Rob's visited the vineyard. We play music for our vines. We think the music helps the vines produce better grapes. So there's a bit of Depeche Mode even in the grapes as they come out.
That's brilliant. Well, you're a small independent company, and you're called Neot Tempo.
Neot Tempo, and
That's right.
and that's a nod to new times and also a nod to music.
Brilliant.
We know.
Brilliant. Well, I will place links in the description below. So I want to come on now to, obviously, that's how we met in London, and Kia took us out for dinner. And he just paid for everything. Absolute gentleman, Kia. We really had a great time. But we did talk, a bit of business and stuff, and some interesting things have happened. So you've been photographing, or Brian has actually photographed your bottle. And I mean, who better to do that? And when Brian photographs something, you can go, that's a Brian Griffin photo. It just is so distinct. So let's talk a little bit about that, and then we'll talk about this event which you've set up for on the 24th in London.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
So the idea came very organically. I think when Brian and I were chatting at dinner that night, one of the things that he mentioned was your bottle reflects light in a different way. And I explained to him, I said, yes, that's a blessing and a curse. It makes it very difficult to take photos of the bottle using traditional methods for a round bottle. And Brian said, well, I would love to photograph it. And I didn't know. I was overcome with emotion because, Brian at this stage in his career doesn't need, he works on what he creatively considers interesting as opposed to just doing this, for as a gig. And one thing led to another. We set up a time in a studio, him and Ravi, his assistant, who's also absolutely wonderful, and has been really instrumental in helping us organize this project. Spend a day in a studio, just seeing the master at work, seeing the meticulous details that he goes into every shot. Was an absolute joy. We documented some of that, so I'll release that to the fans because I'm sure they would love to kind of be on the set with Brian Griffin as well. And we had so much fun, and I'm a huge fan of the Mode book and a big supporter. I think I bought a few copies. They're amazing books, and I wanted to thank you again, Vaughn and Brian, for doing this as a gift to all of us fans. And then we started brainstorming around how can we take this project to the next level. And one idea that came to mind was we have a brand new wine coming out. I had that, but not labeled. It had no label design. And I said, what's a better way than to honor an iconic artist that is an influence for us than to put some of the artwork on display for the fans to see in a way that they've never experienced it before. So basically be able to see it as if, because Brian's work belongs in a museum, We all know that. All of us as fans understand emotionally what he captures, artistically so beautiful. And I asked him, so what are the, what size format would you recommend? And really the project started with Brian really directing both the quality of these prints and how he wanted the fans to enjoy them. And then we also creatively started partnering around how do we take some of these classic images that are timeless and marry them with the shape of the bottle to create a combination that is also timeless. We want these wines to be in collectors, cellars for 40 years and beyond. And so that was another creative challenge. So we worked on the prints and then we worked on the bottle labels. Let me pause there and see, Brian, if you would like to add anything to our joint work here.
No, it was a collaborative affair. It was a a very easy process. There was no misunderstandings, no disagreements. It flowed very beautifully. There's nothing to say really, apart from making it an enjoyable occasion and an enjoyable process to photograph your bottle.
I think here as well, and obviously, we spoke about this earlier. Obviously, Brian has done so many. He's done so many different things. I used to see Brian at least twice a week. We'd have tea in the morning, and then he would talk about things. And like one day he said, when I photographed OMD, and I went, oh, you photographed OMD? He photographed everyone, and that's why at our book launch event, I actually said, which I don't think was a exaggeration. I said, if you weren't photographed by Brian in the 80s, you weren't really that significant. It's probably a horrible thing for me to say, probably, but anyone who was at the top of their game was photographed by Brian Griffin. So regardless of that, what I tried to do with the Mode book was to showcase the art as art in its own right. You know what I mean? Because when the Depeche Mode fans see those photos, they associate it with Depeche Mode, understandably. However, with Brian's art, if you put a broken frame on a wall or on display, and someone comes up to that and they look at it, they're mesmerized by it. Regardless of, so what I'm trying to say is, regardless of the Depeche Mode connection with Mode, I wanted to, it's a book for the fans, obviously, but I wanted to really showcase it as the art itself. Now, that's why I'm happy with what you're talking about, Jays. Yeah. It's basically, I think you also see the brilliance in Brian, and not that it needs to be associated with Depeche Mode.
I think it enhances the music,
yes,
but it can stand on its own.
Yes.
And again, as a fan of wine, art, and music, what really gravitated to me and what really made sense was some of these images, and Brian and I talked about it, especially during the broken frame or construction time again. The alternative photos are just as captivating as the photo that we associate with the album. And in fact, some of them may even be superior on their own context, when there's no music you're thinking about, because they're very powerful. They capture these beautiful landscapes and they capture these characters who are not millionaires and billionaires. They're hardworking people doing things that are hard. They're difficult. And that contrast really spoke to me. Again, we do have a vineyard and a farm, and we're out there sweating. Sometimes when you harvest or you do work, there's an element of this that you're surrounded by beautiful settings, but there's work to be done. And yes. So I think the photos will speak to everybody in a different way. There's no one way for them to be interpreted, but we wanted to broaden the use to fans of Depeche Mode, fans of art and photography in general, fans of wine, and really allow us to share Brian with the planet, with the world, and hopefully these photos will bring joy to people 40, 60 years down the line.
They will. It's almost opening it up, and now with the collaboration, because obviously, Brian, you've just done. If you want to talk a little bit about that collaboration, shout out to Landon Sterling, Brian. Yeah, with the watch, the lensman. You can talk a little bit about that?
Yes, Landon's a very interesting man. We've all sort of appreciated what a wonderful person he is, just like Kier. He is an extraordinary man. He's a visionary. He works for a watch company called Horage, which is actually in Switzerland. They are a small bespoke watch company that do not sell in all the shops of regarding watches. They sell from the company, from the factory. They're incredible. Landon got in touch with me about this time last year and said, I'd like to make you the ambassador for a watch called Lensman 2. I was astounded. I was living next to Vaughn virtually. We live in the same building. And I just, in Rotherhithe, a normal borough of London, and and all of a sudden that was going to be launched as the ambassador for the Swiss watch. Now Landon's a fascinating man. He loves music. He absolutely adores music, and he buys everything I do actually. All my books. He's got all my books. He's got everything, and he's coming over. He's waiting to meet Kier. He's really looking forward to it, where they may conform a collaboration of some shape or form, or certainly enjoy each other's company and what they're trying to do for each other, or what they're trying to do for each other's companies. It will be a fascinating combination to meet this man, this watchman from Switzerland, with this wine man from Napa Valley. It's a great combination, two very, very high-profile products meeting and combining with photography, with Depeche Mode, maybe photographs. It's going to be quite an enlightening event, actually, this event in London. They're both going to be there, and they're both going to meet each other. I'm quite excited about it.
Well, let's talk a bit about the event on the 24th. Kier, can you just tell us a little bit about what the format's going to be, and how the fans can get tickets and whatnot?
Absolutely. So let me start out by saying, what is the event all about? And this is really about Brian, and it's celebrating his work in a way that has never before been seen. So all of the customers who purchased the Mode book have the secret. They've seen thanks to the hard work that Vaughn and Brian did, some alternative photos that came out of slides, alongside some of our favorite photos that we've seen over the years that we're familiar with the band on. We're gonna display these photos at a size and scale that has never been done. Many of these photos will be larger than life in the scale that Brian envisioned them. So you literally will look in each of these photos and feel like you can walk in and step into them. We have some surprises for the event as well, both on the music side. There's some interesting new work by one of our favorite artists. I'll leave that as a little bit of a surprise. And also they'll be able to see the bottles. And we're actually, I'm sharing this with you ahead of our formal launch for the wine. But with Brian's direct assistant, we've taken 6 images. These are the alternative images from the albums. We had some help from Rob, some input from Vaughn, and we've curated a set of these images to be adorned on a bottle of wine. Now, again, for the event, what we're doing is showing the wine bottles and showing the prints. Obviously, if people are interested in purchasing the wine, that's not a requirement. We try to make the price for this event acceptable to most. So it will be a £20 price ticket. The tickets we will make available on Tuesday. We wanted to give everybody enough time to be able to purchase them. So we've now notified everyone ahead of time. You have a little bit of a behind the scenes view of what's being served. We will have some wine and some beer available at the event. So the ticket gets you in. You'll get to see these beautiful paintings. You'll enjoy a glass of wine or a beer, and you get to meet Rob and Vaughn and Brian and myself and all of the rest of the devotees.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, and I'll place links in the description box below, and you guys can get all the information there. So you say the tickets are going available as from Tuesday. That'll be today.
Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday, 6 p.m. GMT, 9 or 10 a.m. Pacific. We have some folks making the trip over to London for the shows. We wanted to give them plenty of time. It's, again, the 24th. So I think the band is playing Birmingham that night. So if you are staying in London to catch the two shows, this is the perfect event for you.
Oh, that's great. As I say, you've got a Depeche Mode show on in London on the 22nd. You've got another Depeche Mode show on the 27th, and then you've got these events. And I have to make a shout out for, and you got Mesh the night before. So I've got to get that in. Got to get that in as well.
The 21st in London at the Garage.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So, Brian, Kia, Rob, thank you so much for being on here. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you guys in London.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be.
Cheers, gents.
Lots of love. See you again.
See you again.
See you again.